Did you know the Bible talks about money more than 2,300 plus times? As Christians, when we think about money, one of the most common things that we come to mind is the tithe. What was the tithe? And it's something I've pondered myself and think about, why does God, who owns everything in the world, care about whether or not I give my money back in the tithe? So what is the tithe? The tithe is just the idea, which was not a Mosaic law, but it was a directive that we give 10% of what God gives to us back to Him out of trust that He can do more with what we're giving back to Him than if we kept it all. God has this amazing thing that I call God's economy that for life of me I can't figure out, but time and time again I see the miraculous works of His economy. And the one thing that I've learned as I've tried in my own journey through giving is I can't outgive God. So as I talk about the tithe, I've created just a quick visual to help illustrate the impact of tithing and why God cares about my heart and my money as it relates to my heart. And so up here I just have 10 bags, and these bags have 100 beans in them, and to represent potential, to represent the impact of just what a penny can do, the same with a bean. And when we think about tithing, God gives me $1 or gives me 10 bags of beans, and He asks me to give Him one with the promise, and the Bible says, test me on this, that He'll do more with the 90% that I keep and the 10% that I give Him than if I kept all 10 bags, or in this case, all 1,000 beans or all 1,000 pennies as my example. And the amazing thing about God's economy is I give Him one bag, and all He asks me to do is to give Him that bag so that He can plant these beans and He can move them into places that I could never have an impact. And that might be planting a church in Lagodi. That might be serving kids in an orphanage in Haiti. That might be planting a church in Boston. Things that I could never do. But God does these things because I give back to Him out of my heart the things that He first gave to me. As we think about this visual of tithing and God wanting our heart, one of the things that comes to mind is the Great Commission, this calling that we've been given as Christians to take the gospel to every corner of the world. And what's amazing about this is the people who study the Great Commission and what it takes financially to achieve this goal, they've been able to show that on an annual basis, we are about $887 million short in funding the Great Commission on an ongoing annual basis. So these same researchers decided to look at what happens if just the 38 million members of mainline denominations, and we know that Christians in the church are so much bigger than that, but this was the body that they could study. What if those individuals took 1 year off from retirement and instead invested that money into funding the Great Commission? What would be the economic reality that would happen because of that? And what they can show is that simply by taking 1 year off from retirement, just those 38 million Christians in mainline denominations, that we'd have an additional $100 billion on an annual basis. The reality of that is that the Great Commission and the shortfall of funding the Great Commission fully on an annual basis would be funded 100 times over if we just took 1 year off from retirement and put it into the call of that ministry work and taking the Great Commission out to the world. This beckons the call of even how much we give as it relates to the tithe. And in the United States, the average household gives 1.9% of their income to charity, and this includes Christians and non-Christians, everyone alike. And when we look at what the impact of that is on Christian families, what we know is that while we teach tithing in the Christian church and in the Christian family, that the reality is that Christians are only giving 2.3% of their income to charity. So a whopping 0.4% difference from the average American household. But yet God's blessed us with everything. He's given everything to us. And as John 3:16 tells us, God so loved the world that He gave. He so loved the world that He gave. And that's the question that we have to ask. God gave everything to us, and what are you giving?